Welcome, everybody. I am Jesse Mogul, and thank you for joining us on the American Contingency Podcast. We are a united nationwide community of steadfast Americans ready for any challenge that comes our way. We're here to inform, equip, and train you so you can be prepared to respond and recover from any man-made or natural disaster or situation. And today, I have an amazing guest for you. Straight from the very top floor, the E-suite, if you will, I got American Contingency's own Executive Director, Tom Rigsby. 14 years in the Army, 25 plus years in business leadership, and now all of that is here for AmCon's disposal. Hello, Tom, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Jesse. How you doing?
You know, it is a joy to have you on the microphone. We have done this many times with each other. Has the pilot of the American Contingency Podcast, there's some specific questions that we want everybody to answer. We're going to keep this short so they know exactly what this is, what's going on. And I thought, who better to answer these questions than the man who runs the show? So let's start off with, who are we?
Well, you kind of nailed it in the open. We are a nationwide network of individuals and groups that work together to build the skills and the network they need to be confident and prepared. I mean, that's really what we do.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing. So why is now the time to finally launch the American Contingency Podcast?
Well, you know, the history of American Contingency is a storied one, which we may get into in future episodes. And we've had some challenges and difficulties with the social platforms and whatnot. That seems to be lightening up a little bit now. So we say, hey, let's test the water and see how this works. The other reason is because so far, a lot of our growth has been organic. It's friends, family, and neighbors, word of mouth, growing the organization. And this is an opportunity for us to start helping the members of the community that don't just happen to live next door to one of our neighbors or just happen to be, you know, friends and family with someone. We're trying to be more intentional about how we reach out and who we reach out to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get the training and join the network.
Bringing up the training is a great segue to the next question is, what do we do as an organization? As American Contingency, what do we exactly do?
Well, we have four main ways that we create value for our members in the network. One is we help them connect. I mean, that's the simplest one. It's the most straightforward one. For the most part, we all met online, but we are very strong advocates of meeting face to face to really connect with one another. So connection is one. We have an inform value proposition where we help you stay informed with current events, the things you need to know, weather, news, all kinds of things like that. The third value prop is training, where we help you gain the skills you need to be better prepared. Not everyone had the opportunity to grow up in an environment where they learned how to change a tire. Even with something as simple and straightforward as that can be a big obstacle to someone who's never had to do that. So whether it's something like that or whether it's how to camp out on your own for 3 weeks with only the things you can carry in your backpack, or how to prepare for tornado or hurricane, we put the training together to help with that. And then the fourth one is helping find and curate the products and equipment that you need to be better prepared. So those are the four things that we do organizationally, and that kind of it manifests itself in different ways as you move up and down the organization. But you know, at its lowest level, of the local chapters and the neighborhood teams, you know, we do these things nationally so those teams locally have the resources that they need and they don't have to go out looking for them. We bring those things to the table for them.
What topics will our listeners hear when they tune in to the American Contingency Podcast?
Oh, man.
And you've touched upon it a little bit already.
So, you know, preparedness is one of those things where there might be thousands of things that you need to know, but we've tried to kind of group and categorize them into 12 primary categories. And then we make sure that we touch or hit on some of those each month so that there's, you're getting the broadest variety of topics and information. We don't expect everyone to become an expert in all 12 categories, but to find that category that really resonates with you and dig deep into that, and then become a part of a local team or local chapter where the other members cover those areas where you're not as strong, right? So as a team, when you work together as a team, you have all of those things covered. It's going to be things like food and water, communications, medical, home and family, security. I mean, there's a lot.
There's 12 of them. If we listed them all off, people would forget halfway through the first one that we mentioned. And it's all on the website, and you can easily go discover that. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is that it's really the scope of what we cover is so broad. It's so vast that you're going to find some level of expertise on the website.
And there is something there for everyone. I mean, no matter your skill or experience level, and no matter your area of interest, there's really something there for everybody.
When people go to tune in to the show, where can people find members of American Contingency?
That question reminds me of the Sesame Street song about, who are the people in your neighborhood? They're next door, right? I mean, just think about it for a minute, right? If you had a flat tire and you needed someone in your neighborhood to help you, who's the most likely person that could help you? I bet if I ask you that question, you could think of someone. Even if you didn't know their name, you might know, well, the person that lives in that house, at the first one past the corner, I've seen them out in the driveway doing things to their car. They might be able to help. People know who the prepared people are in their neighborhood. What we do is just give some structure and organization to it, provide some tools to help you get connected to those people. And one of the things that we do that's very important is we do a background check. It's voluntary, but we encourage everyone to complete a background check so that when we are making those connections, you have this kind of baseline level of trust that this person's not, some mass murderer, serial killer, kind of person. Again, it just kind of provides that baseline to build trust and relationship from there. And trust in relationships is important. And I think that's the power of American Contingency, is that people know, there's a vetting process. And again, we're not talking extreme, but there is a bouncer at the door, making sure that people are going to be legit and they're not here to take advantage and hurt people. Well, one of the things that we did when we started, we very literally started in the comments of a YouTube video. And we progressed from there to a couple of different platforms, all of which allowed for anonymous users. Just like every great Web 2.0 website, you could just go sign up. If you had an email address, you could get an account. And you could call yourself, whatever you wanted. But nobody really knew who you were. And one of the things that we found was that people, when they're anonymous, people are not very nice sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so as we began to build out our own platform and our own phone apps and those things, we took that capability away. There are no anonymous users. You don't have to share your true identity with the rest of the network, but you have to share it with us. And you have to share it when you go through the background part of the vetting process. And what we found was that reduced the vitriol in the community to almost zero. Yeah. Because if you're going to be held accountable for the things that you say, you're much more likely to not be mean when you say them. And the beautiful thing, too, is that trolls tend to scatter when you shine a light on them. Yep. So that's a beautiful thing to also have. We've got a great big spotlight. So. Yeah. And our members are all around the nation. So if somebody joins, there's going to be a regional coordinator, there's going to be a state coordinator. They're going to be able to tap into that person's resources and say, hey, how can I become more involved? Is there already a city chapter? If not, can I start one? And there's a system we help guide them through so that they can start a chapter that can immediately start to attract other people. They can start to build their own community network, and they can really begin to utilize the power of a nationwide network like American Contingency. Yeah. I'll tell you a real quick story about the power of the network. We had a member a couple of years ago. It was a holiday weekend, He was traveling from Florida back home to Pennsylvania, and he hit a deer on a stretch of very remote and very rural Mississippi. Disabled his vehicle. We have our own messaging network. He hopped on his phone on that messaging network, let people know what had happened, and within 30 minutes, we had 3 people rolling toward him. They brought a trailer, a car carrier trailer, picked up his car, and shuttled him all the way back to Pennsylvania. That is the power of a nationwide network. And a lot of people will say, well, I'm in this group locally. I don't really see the point in a nationwide network. Well, there's one.
Yes.
If you have family that doesn't live where you live, there's another. Mm-hmm. And when you really sit back and start thinking about it, the benefits add up, and that's our goal.
I love that story. I remember this is before I was even involved in AmCon. You telling me that story, and I was just flabbergasted. I was like, wait. So people around this area in Mississippi picked up this dude with a trailer and then drove him all the way back to Pennsylvania. I mean, if you don't have AAA, one, you're stuck there. Even if you have AAA, we all know after 7 miles or 100, depending on the membership you have with them, you're looking at like 50 cents a mile. I'm like, they just saved this guy like $3,000.
Right.
And they use their own time and their own resources to get there. That's the power of a network.
On a holiday weekend. I'm pretty sure it was Christmas weekend. It might have been New Year's.
That whole week is a holiday in the United States.
But, the point is, and they weren't local. I mean, the people that started rolling, the furthest one away, I think, was 3 hours away. But he went out right away, said, I'm on my way. And he was the one with the trailer, hooked up the trailer, got in the truck, and took off.
That's amazing. So this was a great roll into the when question. When do most people actually start thinking about preparedness?
Well, unfortunately, it happens when they have an event in their life and they realize that they are unprepared for that event. And, we try to evangelize preparedness, preparedness. So, do it before you need it. But the reality is most people don't. They don't start thinking about it until, it comes home for them.
Bring it home for the listeners out there. How will listening to this podcast benefit them?
Well, I think that's a really easy answer for me. Our goal is to help move people from a state of anxiety to a state of confidence, right? When you watch the news and you see protests, demonstrations, layoffs, bank failures, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, whatever the case, and some of that hits close to you, and you think, oh man, what if that was me? I don't know what I would do. That's a state of anxiety, right? And that's when people get anxious. That's when they start looking for us. We want to help move you from that state to a state where, although you might not have all the answers, you have the confidence that whatever comes, I can face that I don't have to face it alone because I've got a great network backing me up. And I can make it through that and not only survive that event or that life crisis, but thrive coming out the other side.
I love that. It's moving people from uncertainty to some level of certainty in an extremely chaotic and uncertain world.
Yep, that's it.
Beautiful. All right, my friends, that is the pilot for the American Contingency podcast. When you are ready to build the skills, network, and confidence to be ready for whatever comes next, join us at AmericanContingency.com. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.